There we go.
All right. So the Barrier Islands is what our collective beach communities are known as. And that spans from, like Trish said, all the way from Clearwater Beach all the way down to St. Pete Beach. I believe there are 11 different municipalities amongst the Barrier Islands.
Yes.
The different zip codes are 33767, 786, 785, 708, and 706. That's helpful for when you're searching for properties on the MLS. If you're looking for any beach property, you can literally just punch in those zip codes and it will collect everything. There is one area that you'll have to sort of exclude from that, but we'll get to that in a minute. Bay Pines is in 33708 as well. So you'll just have to exclude that on the map when you're searching.
Now our barrier islands are 25 miles long from top to bottom, and each city has different government, budget, and zoning plans, which makes it kind of fun when they're trying to do a collaboration.
And everybody has their own rules, everybody has their own, you gotta ask permissions, and yeah, some are a lot easier than others.
Darn it. Yes. Oh, so you can't do it either.
I can't.
That's my, oh, wait, oh, it's Ann, wait. There we go.
Okay.
Okay. Ooh, how do we go back?
There you go.
Okay, so we're gonna dive into Clearwater Beach first. That slide went missing. Oh my gosh, what the heck?
I don't know.
Sorry, everyone. Why can't we?
I don't know, the show is just, the slideshow is.
It wants to keep us on the zip codes.
Mhm.
Maybe, yeah, give us an error. There we go. All right, so we're gonna be diving into Clearwater Beach. So along with Clearwater Beach, I'm gonna borrow this really fast, I'm gonna show with our cursor here. So right here is the Clearwater Beach, kind of North Beach up here. You have Island Estates over here, which is to the home of Dolphin and Winter, from A Dolphin's Tale. You've got our pier and marina over here. You got the beach walk over here. And then this section here is called the Pass. And then you have Sand Key over there. So those are your kind of main areas of Clearwater Beach. One of the things that a lot of people get asked about rental restrictions. So in single family homes in Clearwater Beach, it is a 30-day minimum rental period. And then condos, most are a 30-day or a 90-day minimum rental period, but there are a few weekly rental properties there, or 2 week.
Yes, yeah, a couple exceptions on the 1 week or 2 week minimum rentals. There's currently 2 buildings in Sand Key that allow that. And then as Trish was showing in the Pass area, there's a few properties that sort of got grandfathered in or admitted in along with the hotels in that area as well. So not very many short-term rentals. Clearwater Beach tends to be a little bit more friendly towards the hotel motel crowd, which is why I think a lot of the buildings are further restricted.
Now you'll find a lot of single family houses in Clearwater Beach in this area, kind of the North Beach over here.
Mandalay Point area.
And then over on this section of Island Way, you've got condos that kind of go up this main strip here. And then all the rest of those fingers over there are a bunch of single family homes. That was to be the rumored purchase of Tom Brady and Giselle, which
Wrong.
didn't work out. 7.5 million back on the market. So if you guys have buyers, there is a $7.5 million house.
Yep.
Rumored to have been eyed by Tom Brady. So he may or may not have stepped foot in there. And then down here, down in the Sand Key area, you have, that's mainly, there's some townhomes, but a majority of condos down in Sand Key.
All the high rises in Sand Key there. Yep. So what brings people to Clearwater Beach? Most people know our area as St. Pete or Clearwater or the Tampa Bay area. Lots of people know Clearwater Beach just from its reputation. You know, many years in a row, it's been ranked the #1 beach in the United States. There's tons of restaurants, tons of bars, tons of fun things to do. There's 3 locations of Frenchies in Clearwater Beach. There's Krabby's.
There's a couple of Krabby's.
There are a couple of Krabby's now, yeah. There's a couple of sunset cocktail places like Jimmy's Crow's Nest and Jimmy's on the Edge.
And those are great places if you want to watch the sunset, have some cocktails, and if you do live music.
Well, the views up there are spectacular because they're about 25 floors high. So
Right.
It's awesome.
And then my favorite is Marina Cantina because those margaritas are on par.
Other things, as Trish briefly mentioned, there's dolphin watching and the Clearwater Aquarium, which is home to Winter from A Dolphin's Tale.
And Hope and Nicholas.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not tight like you are with the
Like
dolphins.
this.
So, yeah.
Then dinner cruises.
Mhm.
So you've got that. And then of course, our favorite Pier 60 sunsets. So from 6 to 9 nightly, they have vendors that they do juggling acts. There's like small business vendors. There's also movies on Friday and Saturday nights that you're in the park, which is kind of the background of what you can see is they have an inflatable screen and you sit and watch a free movie. So that's a lot of fun. And then rentals, jet skis, boats, paddle boards, dune buggies, all that good stuff.
Yeah, you can pretty much rent anything you want up in that area. You can go on the parasailing, paddle boards, dune buggies, all that Trish talked about.
All right, now we are going to head into the Bellaire Beach and Bellaire Shores, which is this 33786.
Definitely the smallest of the zip codes that we talked about. Sorry.
Not enough coffee today?
Nope. So we'll start with Bel Air Beach. Bel Air Beach is residential only for the most part. Any commercial was grandfathered in quite a long time ago. It's got 4 fingers onto the Intercoastal Waterway with waterfront single-family homes, and rental restrictions are fairly long. Most of these properties are either primary residence or second homes. The rental restrictions are a 3-month minimum or a 90-day minimum.
And I think in their zoning, it says periodic basis too. Like they're specific about it, that it's not every 3 months, it's periodically.
So not specific.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you have Bellaire Shores, which is the smallest town of all of our beach towns. It is a 1-mile strip of 61 golf front properties. So it is the west side of Gulf Boulevard only, and it's single family homes only.
And truly, I think that number 61 is probably going to have to be updated shortly because they're oftentimes tearing down 1 or 2 properties and building a mega mansion like the one you see pictured here.
Yes, fun fact.
So this home pictured is formerly Ryan Howard's of the Philadelphia Phillies. He's rumored to have spent upwards of $30 million building the property. I know that he had a $175,000 doorknob budget when building the house. And it recently sold to Ben Mala, a Florida real estate developer, for $16.5 million. Up until recently, it was the highest priced Pinellas beachfront property ever sold. Because Bellaire Shores is so small and they don't necessarily play nice with the rest of the beaches, there are no trolley stops in the Bellairs. There's very, very limited public parking, and the private beach does not get any county funding or county replenishment because, again, they don't like to play by the rules.
Which is, and again, so when you have somebody who's buying there, is knowing that that's probably gonna be the most private of all the beaches. In terms of that, there is, you can't park on the streets. As an agent, something good to know is if you put open house signs, the Keller Williams Way out on the road, they will take it down.
They will steal your sign.
They will, and they'll come knock on your open house and be like, hey, you put way too many signs up, you can have one.
However, for the average price point in Bellaire Shores or Bel Air Beach, it might be worth losing a couple of signs to gain a customer. So
Yeah.
just saying.
Beg for forgiveness
Yes,
after,
yes.
but just be aware that you won't have a lot of cleanup afterwards.
No,
they'll pick up your signs for you. It's all good.
Yeah. So one of the reasons that Bellaire Shores is so private is that, again, Trish was talking about there's no public parking. So, you know, if you start at one end of Bellaire Shores, you would literally have to park in the first public parking spot you find and then walk, you know, the equivalent of 60 times 848, pretty much a mile, 4,800 feet along Bellaire Shores beachways. So,
although you could park by the Panera in Bel Air and walk
Go
over the
across the
bridge.
bridge?
Yeah, that's a
I
good
guess.
2-mile hike. Yeah, if you haven't done that, it's a
you ever
great.
walk the Bel Air Bridge?
Yes, I sure have.
Puffing and puffing.
Oh yeah, it is a great butt workout. Just saying. All right, now we're moving on to 33785
Our
Indian
favorite
Rocks.
zip code.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time playing there.
We do.
All right. So Indian Rocks Beach is a mix of single family homes and condo. So this is Indian Rocks Beach and Indian Shores is the only beach town that does not have a minimum rental restriction for any of the single family houses. So, you know, at this point, if you have somebody who's an investor looking to rent out on a weekly basis, this would be the area that you want to search in. So no minimum rental restrictions. It's only subject to ordinances. So noise, trash, and rental signage. They have to put an Airbnb, or as VRBO now is saying in the commercials, Verbo. So dumb.
Yes.
But you have to have one of those signs up. And then the condos, you have probably outside of Treasure Island, the most amount of weekly rental condos that are in Indian Rocks Beach, and then some that are 1 month and some that are 3-month minimum rentals.
Yeah, so even though the municipality doesn't restrict how long you can rent it for, a condo complex can further restrict how long you can rent there for. So don't just think that you can go into any condo building or any property and think that, well, the town says there's no minimum rental period. It is restricted further by the
I'd do it, I won't.
the HOAs. So it is a very popular tourist destination. It rents really well year long because of that flexibility. In fact, I was just in a little duplex in Indian Rocks Beach, and during the pandemic, they had rented the place for 325 nights.
That was
That's
incredible.
bonkers, crazy.
And they managed it all themselves too, which
Yep.
was even crazier.
Yep, exactly.
Which is why they were selling. They're like,
Which
this
is why
is a
they were
lot. This is a
selling.
lot of work.
And burnt out and tired, and now they're like, we don't want to do long-term rentals. So maybe a vacation rental manager would be better.
Oh yeah, but definitely, I would say that downtown of IRB is really the heart of the tourist area, in my opinion. And what I consider that downtown IRB is where, you know, Krabby Bill's, Jake's Cantina, Villa Glossy,
Slice,
that exactly.
CVS, that area.
Yeah. Because it's probably where the most people tend to go to. There's a lot of single family homes in Indian Rocks Beach, along with the houses on the Intercoastal Waterway. The beach there is not as wide as many of our beaches, but I do think it's just a little bit more shelly, in my opinion. Chase and I go back and forth about the different sand on the beaches. I'm like, dude, they're totally all different. And he's like, no, they're not.
Sand is sand.
Wrong.
Totally agree. Totally agree with you.
Thank you. So like the beach is not as wide, and then there are quite a few beach access points in IRB. There is, I think, about 20 beach access points.
Yeah, it's pretty much every block. So you'll see a bright sun with a blue border around it, and that will designate every beach access point that's open to the public. We haven't talked about Splash Harbor Water Park yet. So the Holiday Inn has one of the only water park up and down the Barrier Island beaches. It is open to the public. Not many people know that. I think the day passes are $20 a day for your wristband.
20 or 25, I forget.
Maybe they might have gone up.
I think so, yeah.
But there is a timeshare section. There's a condo ownership section at Harborside at Marker 33, and then There's a hotel section, and all three of those share the water park, which is also open to the public, as we talked about.
And the best thing is Jimmy Guana's there. That's where they get their food for. So when you go to the water park, you can eat and drink too.
And you actually have servers that come out and while you're in the water park, ask you if you want to order a drink. There's a little tiki hut there. We can order some drinks and beverages. And it's a really cool place, especially to bring kids.
Just note to self, if you're floating down the lazy river, they frown upon you bringing your roadie with you. Just putting that out there. Sorry. So one of the cool things is, again, Indian Rocks Beach is very walkable. There are well over 20 restaurants, and there's new restaurants coming. I feel like once a month, it seems like we've got new restaurants coming in. But like Cafe de Paris, Villa Galassi, Guppies, Keegan's, the original Krabby Bill's, Slice, 18 on the Rocks. We now have the new brewery and Antidote. And then there's also Beach Wave Grill that's new. So there's definitely a lot of great places to eat. And the best thing is they're all locally owned and operated. So that to me is one of my favorite things, is that it's different, it's unique. And that's the one thing is I've been taking my clients down, and this is why we dive a little bit deeper into this, is if I have somebody in my car, I'm highlighting all of these restaurants because I know I've eaten there, I've drank there, so I can always recommend, what's good on the menu.
Yeah, this isn't a Applebee's and Red Lobster all up and down the beaches. I mean, they're all locally owned and operated, and they've been in business for a long, long time, and that's for good reason.
I mean, I love a good cheddar biscuit, but the seafood. Ugh. So one of the things that also makes Indian Rocks Beach a little bit more unique, I think all the beach communities have a lot of, I would say, community activities that go on. Events. But IRB has a community HOA, and it's Action 2000. So they are the ones who are doing the fundraisers to beautify Indian Rocks Beach. So all like their bus stops and trolley stops, all of those have been beautified by this HOA. So they are the ones that are putting on like IRB Beach Fest. So every spring, when not in a pandemic, thanks COVID, they do IRB Beach Fest, and they put a stage on the sand. They have beer trucks, wine trucks, food vendors, beach volleyball. There's bands going all day. So it's just a really fun day. I mean, it's from like 10 a.m. until I think 10 at night, which is, yeah. So anyway, they put lights out there. So again, that's a fundraiser for them. They do a St. Patrick's Day party. They do Easter egg hunts. They do Green Fest.
Boat parades.
Taste
of IRB.
Oh my gosh, Taste of IRB. Yes. Now that's the one, it takes place right behind Krabby Bill's is Chickasee Park. And what they do, for those who are familiar with the Taste of Chicago, all the local restaurants put up a little table, and they do like 3 to 5 of like their best, dishes, and you pay and you get little samples of it. They have little bands there, and then of course the beer and wine trucks. My favorite. And then they're also really big with their beach cleanups too.
Yeah.
Next,
Can I ask a question real quick before we go on?
Of course.
Yeah.
I know that Indian Rocks Beach is actually one of the greatest places to, if the purpose of the purchase is for investment.
100%.
And, they're always asking me, have you heard of anything coming down the road? Because everybody's always asking, they ask the locals, and the locals are telling them, oh no, it's going to change, and because the locals are like, we don't like this, being so accessible to all the investors, and everybody can rent these properties, and so they want it to change. And so the angry locals are telling my investors when they talk to them that this is going to change. So do you hear anything ever coming down the pike like that?
The only thing, as we did it, we dove in and did some research on it, is the rule when they tried to change about the short-term rental,
Right.
They were too late in doing it, which is why it still continued. What I've heard is that some of the streets want to make their own like street association. And then in that way, they can, we're an association and now we're saying this. But again, I think the biggest question is depending on the street, I don't know at that point how many people it takes to say, we all agree to this. Because if when you've got renters on the street, that's the unknown.
And this is also pure speculation on my part, but the owners who are unhappy with the short-term rentals tend to be the most vocal. you know, it was the same way in Madeira Beach when the development was being talked about and going up. There was a lot of people talking about, not in my backyard. We don't want this to turn into Clearwater Beach 2.0 or anything like that. And it still ended up going on. There is a lot of benefit, even to the people who are not renting their places out on a short-term basis. You know, tourism is an enormous part of Indian Rocks Beach. The tourists, the people who are not locals, are people who make up the community of Indian Rocks Beach as well. So I can't imagine it changing on a large scale.
Right.
Especially since they lost that right to do so. But if 7, 8, 9, 10 people decide to get together, form their own homeowners association, and feel really strongly about it, there might be sections that are sectioned off and do it the way Trish was talking about. But on a grand scale, I think it's just, it would require too big of a majority, and I don't think they have that majority there.
Yeah, it's expensive for small streets to do that, because then they actually have to pay for their own municipalities, and that's expensive. They have to, you know, pay for their own
Very
road
much so.
fee. Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, great. So here are some of the newer places to go into IRB in terms of restaurants. So Ready, Set, Yo is right next to Krabby Bill's, and it's a coffee shop. And there is going to be a bakery that's going in where Jake's Cantina old location used to be.
Where all the ice cream, the big ice cream shop.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's there. You also have Casa Italia, which I saw, Abby, you commented, and I couldn't type without you all seeing me type. A great little Italian restaurant. The owners are phenomenal. They're super sweet, good food. You have there in the middle is Salt Public House, which, fun fact, I'm all about my fun facts, is that the owner is from Ireland and his wife is the chef, and she uses a lot of the family's recipes. But it's great. They have a lot of gluten-free, and also if somebody is a vegetarian, they've got a lot of vegetarian options as well. I actually had a vegan client with me, and taking that away from me. But I had a vegan client, and I was like, I know exactly where to go, and I was able to service them there. And then you have Antidote, which is a new brew house.
And we just reviewed this on our podcast.
We
We
did.
Trish and I host a podcast talking about the beaches as well. It kind of stemmed from this class, but we kind of leave real estate out of it for the most part at this point. So if you guys are interested, it is called What's Up Beaches, and it's available on almost every major podcast platform. So what we did, getting back to the point, was we went and did a breweries of the beaches tour, and we checked out Anecdote, we checked out Mad Beach Brewing, we went to St. Pete Beach, we went kind of all over the place and checked everything out. And
because there's only 4, so.
Right, exactly. Anecdote is very new. They're still kind of trying to figure themselves out. It kind of feels like a modern ice cream parlor when you walk in, rather than a brewery. But they do have some pretty good IPAs. They have some good sours. It's a really cool place, and it's brand new, so it's really clean and crisp looking.
And very COVID friendly right now too.
It is,
which is kind of important to tell people.
Yeah.
And then Beach Waves Grill is the one here in the bottom right hand corner. That one opened about 2 months ago. It used to be a Thai restaurant, and everything about the reviews of their food is fantastic. And then, drum roll please, we have VIP coming to IRB. So they are going to be keeping the Treasure Island location open, but as we all know, that place that is tiny and always packed. So they're going into the old Aqua Prime location. So as of right now, they have like a smaller section, like they can't be, there's some outside that they'll be, but the whole lot they can't use as of right now, because the city's like, we're going to do this on a trial basis. So, but I'm just excited that VIP is coming up north. All right, so here's something that's important for y'all to know. The Walk at Indian Rocks Beach is a new development that is right next to, it's right at 26th Avenue and Gulf Boulevard.
It's at the very north end of Indian Rocks Beach right now, right before you get to Bellaire Beach. Yeah.
So they're all going to be townhouses. It's 2 rows of 16 townhouses. The prices right now are between 500 to 600,000 ish.
And I would expect those to go up.
Oh,
for sure.
absolutely, because that was
Those are maybe intro prices. I'm guessing they're going to be in the 600-700s pretty quickly.
right. Last I heard, they will not be short-term rental, but until they deliver the documents.
Yeah.
Any guesses out there? They are going to have a pool and a butterfly garden.
All right.
Fun fact. There are 2 different floor plans. So you have the Tidewater, that is approximately a little over 1,900 square feet, 3-story, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, a den dining room, 1-car garage. You can add an elevator or a 4th bedroom or a 3rd full bath.
Yep.
And then the Starboard, which is a little bit larger, just a hair under 2,000 square feet. And again, same features, 3-story, 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath. So. Oh yeah, gotta use this little arrow guy. Technology.
So just headed south of Indian Rocks Beach is Indian Shores. The first stretch is called the Narrows. It's a stretch of land in between IRB and Indian Shores. There's Gulf front condos and some single families on one side and the intercoastal waterways on the other. Everybody has driven this. Indian Shores is just 2 lanes. It's primarily condos, very few single family houses. Most of them are allowed to do short-term rentals, but there are a couple that are 1 and 3 month rentals. There's quite a bit public access. There's parking just south of Park Boulevard at Tiki Gardens.
North of Park
Oh,
Boulevard.
no, I'm sorry, north of Park Boulevard. There's 175 parking spots. There's also a public access where you can drop your boat in and leave your car or truck there as well.
Mm-hmm. And just some fun things about Indian Shores is that you've got Smuggler's Cove, miniature golf there. Some town highlights is Caddy's Pub. You've got Indian Shores Coffee, Salt Rock Grill, and then Symposium Tasting Room. And then of course, the Huff. I can't get chased there. Mahuffers it's a staple.
I need a tetanus shot before I go there.
But that's okay. That's part of the charm. I tell you what, it's charm.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a cat there, but they always have, yeah, just as you wanted a bar that has a cat.
Warmest beer on the beach, guaranteed.
Yeah, they keep all their beer and alcohol in coolers. So yeah, but it's great atmosphere. And it's one of those things. I had a client with me one time and she was in white jeans and she said, yeah, I think we're going to go to Mahuffers. And I'm like, yeah, you got to change your clothes with you before you go. I just, but it's a good time. It's an experience.
Sure, you can call it that.
And one of these days I will get chased there and I will get it on camera.
You know what else is an experience? Getting kidnapped.
Terrible, terrible. One feature with Indian Shores is all the utilities are buried in Indian Shores. And that is something that on Gulf Boulevard that we didn't mention at Indian Rocks Beach that is coming.
They're working towards that in
Yes.
Indian Rocks Beach. Yeah, all the utilities will eventually be buried. However, that hasn't happened in the last 4 years. So,
yeah.
And that's the first time I heard that was going to happen. So I'm guessing it is a very slow process.
Well, if you've driven down there lately, it's a lot slow.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah. A lot of construction. Oh, Dan, sorry. Do you want to talk about the new construction?
Sure.
There?
Yeah. So there's a couple of new construction projects going on in Indian Shores right now. I think there are actually only 2 units available at this point.
Correct, I think,
but
yeah.
This is Paradiso Del Mar. It is a luxury condo complex. There's only 8 total units. They are well over 2,000 square feet. They're closer to 3,000. These are going to be similar to the building in Indian Shores called Juanella. Maybe not quite as large as Juanella, but there's going to be garages available, direct Gulf front, great big balconies, very open floor plan, 3 to 4 beds, 4 baths.
Garages,
yeah. And I think there is still a 3rd floor unit for sale and maybe a 2nd floor unit for sale as well. But the building is already well under construction. and will be opening probably end of 2022. So
we'll see. The pandemic, I think, has pushed a lot of things back.
Yep.
And then the Anchorage condominiums of Indian Shores, that's like saying synonym. It is located on the intercoastal. And they're actually, I think they're pretty much sold out now at this point. They are. The penthouse, there was only 3 penthouses, and they range in square footage of like from 3,100 square feet to 3,250 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 3.5 baths. Can't see my little note there, but they also have extra wide balconies. And then there are 18 standard units that are about 1,560 to 1,700 square
They're all
feet.
3-bedroom, correct?
Correct, yes, and 2 bath, and then 30 feet wide balconies. They're going to be featuring coated entry gate, heated pool and spa. You get 2 reserved parking spots. 1 will be under the building.
Yeah, parking is a big deal with new construction. As some of my clients found out the hard way, they are very restrictive when it comes to what you're allowed to build and how many parking spots you have. So they want an excessive amount of parking at every new construction project. Otherwise, they won't let you build it.
And this one is, I mean, it's pretty
sizable.
Yeah, once they demolish the old little shopping center, they've built it pretty quick.
Yep. So this will be like some of her other projects. They'll have little cabanas that are waterfront.
And those are for separate purchase.
Those are separate purchase. I think the penthouse units all come with one. And other than that, they're going to open up the rest of them for sale separately.
Yes, somebody just asked Linda Anderson, will we be able to receive an email of the slides? Yes. Anna, what's the best way for everyone who wants a copy of the PowerPoint?
Oh, I can send it in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay, Anna is going to send it in the chat for us.
Awesome.
So we've got the PDF, so you guys have that. Thank you. Oh, wrong. Too many mice. All right.
Reddington. So there are 3 different Reddingtons: Reddington Shores, North Reddington Beach, and Reddington Beach.
And each one is its own municipality.
Yes, they're all very different. No, not very different, but they are.
Some are more persnickety than others.
Exactly. I guess I'll start with Reddington Beach proper. So it's mostly single-family homes, and most of them primary or secondary homes.
And
lots of people who actually live there.
And where is Reddington Beach proper? Where is that located in the scheme of the 3 Reddingtons?
So Reddington Beach is the furthest south, starting right after Madera. So it would be anything after 154th Avenue, I believe, going north until you run into North Reddington Beach. Code ordinances are not as restrictive as the other 2. Boats and trailers are allowed with some restrictions. Utilities are not buried like Indian Shores and future Indian Rocks, but there is a 6-month minimum rental period. They do not appreciate or want or like short-term rentals in the community. The only exception is a few of the Gulf front properties right on Gulf Boulevard. And actually a couple of properties on Gulf Boulevard, not on the Gulf, that have been grandfathered in to allow short-term rentals. And I think there's.
Is that where the David Weekley townhomes are?
Yeah, the David Weekley attached single-family homes or townhomes are one of the exceptions. Right next door, the Royal Orleans is an exception. And then a couple of the Gulf front mega mansions are actually used as short-term rentals as well.
Well, and I think one thing to note down there is you have to walk a little bit in some cases to get to beach access.
Yes,
they're a little bit more hidden.
Yep.
So it's not always a quick walk to the beach.
Yeah, exactly. Not quite as easy to get to the beach as it is in Indian Rocks, for example.
But it definitely, out of all the, I think, the beach towns, it's definitely community right there. A home, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Like a primary residence, a neighborhood. It really feels like, other than maybe Bellaire Beach.
Agreed. Well, and then we'll head up just a smooch to North Reddington Beach. It is a mixture of single family and condos there. one thing with North Reddington Beach is all the utilities are buried in those subdivisions. It does also have the tightest code ordinances. So no trailers, boats, RVs without permits. And then there is a 90-day minimum rental for single family homes there. And then you also have the Doubletree Hotel with mangoes and the Tiki Hut.
So it's a little bit more commercial in North Reddington Beach than
Yes.
regular Reddington Beach.
But watch out when it says no parking, listen.
Go ahead, tell your story.
So my story is the week before Hurricane Irma, I was at a friend's house and they were having a party and I was like half in the driveway, half in the street, but in the no parking, side, but I didn't notice that.
Rebel.
I was a rebel. And so got a ticket and then Hurricane Irma happened and I forgot all about said ticket. And then, hey, you need to come to traffic court. So I went and a lot of people are there with parking tickets. Okay, we're going to reduce yours down to $10, reduce down to $10. I went up, telling my story. Yeah, it was Irma, waiting for my reduced to $10. And she's like, oh, you're in North Reddington Beach. Yeah, you got to pay your full ticket because there's something that they won't negotiate on theirs. So
The judge is even warned her. She's like, yeah, North Reddington
yeah.
won't let you get by with that.
So this rebel who's like, haha, I'll park anywhere. Do it, man. You'll get a ticket.
Moving up to Reddington Shores, it is also a mix of single family and condos. Most of them are not short-term rental friendly, but there are a couple that allow short-term rentals. One of them is Angler's Cove, which has skyrocketed up in price lately.
Oh, totally. San Remo.
San Remo as well. Yep, both have gone way, way, way up in price. And then the beach cottages,
Yeah, and beach palm.
beach palms are also right in that same stretch, in that same area that allows short-term rentals.
Chase, can you please speak up?
Sure. So most of the single-family homes are located off 175th, leading back to the Four Fingers of the Intercoastal Waterway. That is where they started the Reddington Yacht and Tennis Club. Right off 175th, and there are quite a few empty lots still available. I know a local builder, Chad Lubke, lives back there, has built many, many, many of the homes back there and is continuing to build some of those new homes. So if you have any clients that are looking for new construction or a vacant lot on the water, off the water, that would be a good place to start because there are quite a few still available in there. They started developing that in 05, 06, then the crash happened and the rest is history. So utilities are buried in the subdivisions. Boats and trailers are allowed with minimum restrictions. Single family homes have 181 day minimum rental. And it looks like that is from.
And then I think it's 182nd.
182nd to 180th. There's one small section that has a 1 month minimum rental.
It's the home of Reddington Village, a little niche shopping center with small retail and restaurants, which we'll talk about here in, I think, our next slide. And then if you haven't been, it's a must go, is Gypsy Soul's Coffee House, opened up about 1.5 years ago now.
Yeah. That's
And
really good.
oh my goodness, their coffee.
And again, shop
cookies.
local. That's a really cool little place.
Agreed. So Reddington Village is our newest little shopping center within the Reddingtons. It is located at the corner of Gulf and 173rd Avenue. So
it's actually in between two of the Reddingtons, which
that
was
was,
a nightmare to
oh
get
my gosh,
done. So
because they don't play nice with each other. That's the thing.
So they had to negotiate with two different municipalities in order to get everything done and get funding and get permits and everything. So I don't know who came up with that location, but cool.
Well, the wine cellar did.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So down in the picture was the original wine cellar, that restaurant that was there for years. And I think it closed down, what, 7 or 8 years ago?
Yeah.
I think.
Yep.
So we now have within there, Dunkin' Donuts opened up, which again, that was part of the drama too. Oh my gosh, traffic, what are we gonna do? And then Burrito Social just opened and it is stinking adorable.
It's awesome.
It is so good. You can see that was their margarita.
Yes.
And
So we had to go try it out
we did,
for the class.
and it was delicious.
It was. They had
And-
great food, large serving size food. They had burrito bowls.
They have like a 9-hour slow roast meat,
Yep.
carne, something or other, but it was good. They actually started off, I see you laughing at me, Chase. They actually started off as food trucks in Puerto Rico, and this is their first restaurant in the United States. So really cool.
Really good food.
Then there's going to be Reddington Salon and Spa, which they're not open yet, hopefully soon. You have Clear Blue Nail Salon that'll be opening up. There's going to be, I don't know how you pronounce it, it's a sushi Thai Lao restaurant. And then there's a few empty spots that will be opening up soon.
Yep.
Oh, darn it. Madeira Beach, near and dear to Chase's heart.
Yes, so I lived in Madeira Beach for 2.5 years, so it is kind of my favorite little beach town, although it's growing rapidly. It used to be kind of bottom of the barrel, definitely the cheapest prices, and
It was a small fishing village.
Yeah,
Really?
and it's really not anymore. A lot of development going on, as I'm sure you guys are aware if you've ever taken the Tom Stewart Causeway. So the city extends. I can't read any of that. There's now a downtown Madeira Beach, really, and it's kind of where the new development is. It's where the new hotel just went up. The former Brown Boxer is going to be the new home of another hotel. So we have the Cambria and Cambria Club already put up. And then the one across the way is also going to be a hotel with some retail in it. Cambria has a rooftop bar and I guess micro restaurant. And then the Madeira Beach Town Center is collectively the entire plan. So the 2 condos going up are going to be right next to the Cambria. The condos actually have something negotiated with the Cambria, in which if you buy one of the condos, you get 1 year free room service, check-in, check-out type privileges with your condo. So it's kind of like owning a small little condo hotel that's attached to a really nice hotel as well. There are still quite a few units available within these 2 condos that are being still under construction, still to be built.
Well, in the second condo, they're not even selling yet because they're not sold out of the harbor at Town Center.
Yep. So going back to just regular old Madeira Beach, single family homes have a very, very strict 3-month minimum rental period. And it is being enforced by a private
neighborhood
neighborhood watch, which is more dangerous than having a city official actually doing it. So do not try to rent out your single family home in Madeira Beach unless it is zoned to do so. You also have one of the main boating places, Gulf Access at Johns Pass. And other than all the way up in Clearwater Beach and all the way down in St. Pete Beach, where Blind Pass is, it is the main access point to the Gulf of Mexico.
Because I'm sure everyone here has been stuck by that bridge.
Yes, they have.
I've had it. I mean, that's the best excuse. If you're running late up and down the beach, is, ooh, sorry, I got stuck by a bridge.
Yeah. Something we maybe should have mentioned up in the Narrows or Indian Shores is if you have clients that are boaters, you probably want to be as close as possible to all the way up in Clearwater Beach, as close as you possibly can be to Johns Pass or down by Blind Pass, because it is a haul to get from the Narrows out into the Gulf.
Slow wake zone.
No wake zone, very slow, long time to really get anywhere. So Madeira Beach, Treasure Island, St. Pete Beach are really the boaters' favorites.
So earlier, Chase had mentioned,
Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
We do see a lot of agents in Madeira listing their homes as 1 week minimums. And, you know, it's frustrating for us when they don't check out the zoning. So I love that you said this, and I love that you're teaching this class like this, because it's real misinformation for our clients when they see that 1 week minimums on single family homes in Madeira Beach. And then my client calls me and then questions me and then says, oh no, it says it right here. Then the other agent that I just called said the same thing, that we can rent this out.
Yeah.
And they have been renting it out. And they have a rental schedule on the attached to the listing.
Yeah, that's pretty scary because I mean, if they haven't already been warned or shut down, they're going to get shut down, especially in Madeira. You know, Trish and I have both had clients who have gone rogue and just ignored our advice and said, well, we're going to rent it out until we get caught. And then lo and behold, a year or 10 months later, they want to list the house back on the market because they can't do VRBO. And we're like, that's kind of what we told you.
Curious, what is the fine after they did get caught?
Did your client ever actually get that far? Did she get a
No,
warning?
she got
or
the
a
cease
fine
and desist. Yeah. I think she got the one warning, but I want to say we were talking to somebody that in Sunset Beach, it was like like 25,000. I don't know. It was substantial, the fine that they got.
Yeah, and that wouldn't be a first offense or something, but I mean, if the city wants to crack down on you, they can throw the book at you with noise ordinances and trash ordinances and breaking this ordinance, and then you don't want to make enemies of somebody at the municipality, no matter where you're at. So that's really not good.
So Kelly asked a question in the chat. She says, when it makes sense to, if an investor wants to do an Airbnb or a VRBO, short-term rentals, or even ultimately longer-term rentals, what do you recommend happens in terms of an investor getting verification on a specific property to ensure this is possible prior to purchase, to protect yourself in case this isn't or things change?
Yeah.
That is a great question.
I'll start. So the single family home portion of it is going to be a really easy one let's start with the HOA. The condo docs or the homeowners association docs are going to be the very first place to look. So rules and regulations, FAQs, it needs to be listed in the condo docs. And if it's listed online as a 1 week minimum and the condo doc says it's a 3-day minimum, it's really a 3-day minimum. I would never just blindly trust what an agent arbitrarily puts in the MLS on anything for that matter, not just the minimum lease period. So always do your homework and always check
because how many
the
agents
details in it.
Look up other sales? Oh, this agent said it's a weekly,
Exactly.
so it must be weekly.
They're just copying what somebody else put on the MLS. For single family homes, Indian Rocks and Indian Shores are really easy. The answer is yes, you can do Airbnb and VRBO. In single family homes in every other area that we just mentioned, I mean, the answer is really no.
Well, call the city. That's how you cover your butt.
Yeah.
And that's, as we've put this slide together, that is exactly what Chase and I did, is we called the city, asked for the zoning maps, and you can give them a specific address and they'll tell you, because there are going to be in all the beach towns, there's going to be, and typically the ones we find on Gulf Boulevard they're grandfathered into it. So if you call the city, I've always had them get back with me.
Yeah.
So
we haven't gotten there quite yet, but most of Treasure Island is a different rule where it can look like they allow short-term rentals. Well, they do, but only 5 times a year. So Treasure Island is kind of the odd man out, where it can look like you can do a short-term rental, and somebody can even have a history of some short-term rentals, but you need to be very careful because it is 5 changes of occupancy per year in any of the residential 2 neighborhoods.
And we'll dig into that. We actually have a map that shows you.
Yeah.
Kelly, you asked specifically who by calling the city. So yes, so call like the city of Reddington Beach, the city of Madeira, and I always ask for the zoning department. 9 times out of 10, I can never get a human on the phone, so I always have to leave a message.
So the other way that you can do it yourself is you just Google whatever municipality you're looking for, zoning maps. You find that zoning map, every single one of them has it readily available online. You look up the code on the property that you're looking to look up. So in Treasure Island, for example, you might see a goldenrod color and it's residential 2. So then what you look up is you look up
City of Treasure Island Code of Ordinances, and then you look up residential 2, and you find the list of restrictions under residential 2. That's the easiest way that you can confirm that. And I know it's not very easy,
I
but
find it easier to pick up the phone.
it is. Sometimes it is, but a lot of city employees will not give you a straight answer as well, because they don't want to be held liable for it. And
Yeah.
if you're going to get something from a city employee, definitely get it in writing. Get it in form of an email, get it in form of whatever, because you want to have
CYA.
something to go back to.
Yeah. And then you asked, do you know,
The new condo
Yeah.
buildings having rental restrictions.
yes. Does the builder have the restrictions and regulations yet prior to purchase? Yes-ish.
In Madera.
I think, well, just in general. I think it's just a general
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
So, but it can always change until they solidify the condo docs. So for example, at Harbor of Town City Center, they are, well, it's a 2-week, but what they're doing is, so you put down your deposit and all of that good stuff. And then once they have the actual condo documents,
Oh, yeah, you have a limited time. to
you've got
review the
10
condo
days
docs.
to review them and
Yeah.
then back out if,
It's almost like an additional inspection period once the condo
Right,
docs are
right.
completed.
so then if you were buying it for the intent to rent it, and then they change that rent, and they're like, oh, now it's a 3-month minimum, you're able to back out.
Yep.
All right. Oops, wrong mouse. All right. So we talked a little bit about the Madeira Beach Town Center plans. One thing you forgot to mention is right over here. So right now, right over here is kind of where the saltwater hippie is. You got Frabodas right here at the corner. They are going to be doing an elevated crosswalk that is going to take you over Gulf Boulevard, which I think is just genius.
Super cool.
Oh my gosh. I mean, just in terms of traffic and all that good stuff, it's going to be amazing. This right here is going to be a little triangle park. So a little green space. I like it. And then let's see. So here is the Cambria Hotel, which is now open. And Chase had mentioned the rooftop grill. So they do, I think, just appetizers up there, I think, drinks and appetizers.
Yep.
I know our one of our teammates, Phil, he and his wife love to go there on date night, and their drinks always look fantastic.
Yep.
And then all of this right here is staying. This is not getting developed where the post office is. As of right now, it's,
Yes.
yeah, exactly. As of right now. But I think the Cambria Hotel has been a bit polarizing. I know, I'm like, oh, the colors are pretty. And Chase is like, I hate it. They didn't ask our opinion.
No, they didn't.
We could have told them.
Yep.
So here is, so building A is the one that they just broke ground on. So you have 8 different floor plans. And it's going to be, you've got some smaller ones, we've got penthouse, some are on the intercoastal side, and some of them are on the Tom Stewart Causeway side.
Yeah.
But all of them will have a little bit of views. They are a 2-week minimum rental at this point, and then it's 2 pets with no weight limit, and they're going to have a pet wash station.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that is a fun little fact.
Mhm.
I'm a geek on those. And then he had mentioned that the first year membership to the Cambria includes room service to your room, gym, and amenity access, and discounts on food, bar, drinks, and all that good stuff.
Yep. The third condo that we haven't talked about yet is called Madeira Del Mar. It is all the way constructed.
Is it?
It is.
Really?
Yeah,
I've
they're
driven
not-
back behind there.
Yeah,
So they're
they're
back
not-
behind Smuggler's Cove.
Yes, exactly. It's a great big building. I had no idea that they could put something that big on that small of a lot, but they did. All the units are 3 threes, which is very rare. It does allow a weekly minimum lease. I haven't seen the final condo docs. I think it's 1 week. It could be 3 or 4 days, something like that, but it'll be a good rental. I think it is actually more expensive than the upper 4s now. I think it's lower 5s, lower $500,000 range that they're advertising the prices at. But for a what?
That was new.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
did that. Yeah.
For a 3-bed, 3-bath unit that's 1,500 square feet, it's still really good value. You're getting a lot of condo walking distance to almost everything: bars, restaurants, food, fun, rentals, the beach,
The park.
the snack shack, the park,
Oh,
Rock
yeah,
Park.
Rock Park.
It's an awesome central location. So I'm really surprised that Madera Del Mar isn't sold out. I think the biggest issue is their lack of view of any
Mhm.
kind. They're not on the water.
They're gonna have a residence lounge.
I didn't know that.
That's new. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yep.
And then limit of 2 pets with the max weight of 25 pounds. And then they are going to have 2 assigned covered parking spots. Darn it, wrong mouse again. So so here is in this upper left-hand corner, that is the Harbor of Town Center, those condos that we were talking about. So you can see they broke ground, just starting to build it right next to the Cambria. And then the Lucky Lizard here is in the Madeira Commons where the Dak Shack is. So it is a new tap house that we have yet to try because it just opened up.
You're right. Perfect.
Yeah, so that's on our list.
Well, that won't take very long.
It won't.
If you haven't seen yet, that great big building going up on the Gulf of Mexico is actually going to be a Caddy's restaurant, bar and restaurant. It's all elevated, so there's views of the Gulf from the restaurant. It's a much needed additional restaurant, an additional Gulf front bar and restaurant that we really don't have a lot of.
Because really, if you think about it, in the mid beaches, there is nothing that you can eat and just look directly at the sunset. Even if you go to Sloppy Joe's and you're on the deck, you still kind of have to walk out and see the sunset.
You do have Mangoes up at the Doubletree, which is a Gulf front restaurant, but it's in a hotel and not many people know about it.
I like the tiki bar there.
Yes, for
That
sure.
is good. They do hula dancing on Friday nights.
Yep.
Fun fact. And then we're going to head over the bridge to Treasure Island in St. Pete Beach. So Treasure Island, it is a really a top tourist destination. When I'm looking at investment properties and what's going to get the best return, honestly, I think I see some of the highest rentals coming out of Treasure Island.
Yeah, definitely. Some of that is because they are condo hotels. They've been established for 15, 16 years now. They have a lot of recurring tourists, a lot of recurring people, Canadians, Midwesterners coming back to the same location over and over and over again. But some of those also have exorbitant fees for managing your units. There is not, to my knowledge, other than the trade winds, any condo hotel that forces you to use the on-site rental management company. So just because they have on-site rental management does not mean you have to use on-site rental management. So at a couple of the places, they are charging 37% plus some incidentals of your gross rental income, which again, to me is astronomical. The top vacation rental management companies are only charging 20, 21%. So there's an enormous savings recommending our clients to an outside vacation rental manager if they're not going to do it themselves and save all of that.
And we have a slide, I think, at the very end of this presentation that kind of talks about the difference in condos and condo hotels.
Yep.
But for those of you who are not familiar with, condo hotels are purely, they were built as an investment property, and they actually have, most of them have restrictions on how long an owner can stay there, typically 21 to 28 days out of the year. They are also ones that cannot be financed traditionally. So you cannot get a conventional loan on it. It's only an adjustable rate loan. And there are very few lenders that actually do that. Yep. If you need, you can reach out to Chase and I. We have a contact with Ozark Banks that actually can get them done.
Yep.
So, and a way that you can tell if it's a condo hotel is more often than not, resort is in the name. So if you see a resort in the name of a condo, then it's condo hotel.
If it says hotel, motel, resort in the name, that's a red flag. The second red flag is a rental desk or a check-in, check-out type service on site. And those are really the two biggest red flags, I guess. Restrictions on owner usage is another one.
But other than that, there's not a whole lot that defines whether or not it is a condo or a condo hotel.
And then with Treasure Island, it is the widest beach of all of our beaches on the Barrier
And
Island.
I'm sure everybody knows that. But if you have
Has
small
every-
children, and you get all the way to the Gulf, and then your kid says, I have to go to the bathroom. You know how long that run is.
It
So,
is a hike,
Mhm.
but it also makes it great for when they do like standing ovations though.
Exactly, because you can have the entire thing on the sand, on the beach, and it's enough room to
Oh,
do it
yeah.
on the beach too.
It's fantastic. And then many of the condos on the intercoastal have slips that are either deeded or first come, first serve. Probably some of the most condos with beaches I've noticed, or with
In Treasure Island, yeah.
not beaches, but with boat slips.
Mhm.
So here is the one. All right, so zoning. This is what we were
This is-
talking
this is the
about.
map that I was talking about, yeah. So, let's see.
The yellow right here.
Yeah.
That one, these right here are all 2 changes of occupancy a year. So you can rent it out for 1 week. And
One
then
time.
one
And then
time.
Your second time, you can rent it out for 6 months, but that's all you get.
And then you can't stay there then if you've rented it out twice,
Right,
because then you would be the 3rd change of occupancy.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Um,
They were really specific in telling me that when I
yes,
talked to the city.
So Amanda did ask, yes, you are able to do short-term rentals. However, it is limited in the number of rentals you can have because a change of occupancy is 1 person going in and 1 person going out. So if you are living in a house and somebody wants to rent it for 1 week, you change the occupancy when you let that person rent it for a week and you leave. Yes, you can do short-term rentals, but financially speaking, it's not going to pay for itself. It's not going to be, you're not going to be able to rent it out for, however many nights a year to give you that break-even number. Even the 5 changes of occupancy, which is the goldenrod or the orangish color area.
The color names were not our choices,
No, no.
but these,
Yeah, all the goldenrod is 5 changes of occupancy per year. And that is, other than Sunset Beach, that's also going to be further restricted by the condo association because a lot of these are condos or apartments of some kind.
and I'd say over here in this little section, that this is an area right here that you hear a lot of people saying, oh, you can do weekly rentals right there. But again, it's part of that goldenrod.
Yeah.
And right now, Treasure Island, last I knew, doesn't have anybody out there that are out watching it. There's nobody on staff that
It's not
is.
quite like Madeira where, you have the little old man driving around writing down license plate numbers from other states. But at the same time,
It's your neighbors.
you got to be careful not to advise your clients in the wrong way. So
Right.
can you get away with 6 changes of occupancy? I mean, yeah, you probably can, but are you going to be able to rent that place out like 15, 20, 26, 28 times? No, definitely not.
And it's going to depend on your neighbors, who's going to narc on you.
Neighbors, or you don't know who is living across the street watching every car that goes in and out. And there's a lot of those people in these beach towns. So looking out for the neighborhood, the self-designated neighborhood watch. Other mixed usage resort facilities, which would be allowed to do short-term rentals, are in the light pink and violet. As you can see, most of that is on the Gulf of Mexico,
Mhm.
but also most of this are condo buildings, hotels, large single-family houses, and a lot of it are condo hotels as well. The planned redevelopment areas are in dark orange and pink, and you will see that in a separate category in the code of ordinances.
Ah, one of my favorite places.
We're just there this morning.
So Sunset Beach is technically a part of Treasure Island. It is as you go through Treasure Island and right before you cross over the Blind Pass Bridge, there's a little offshoot, a little arrow that says Sunset Beach. And it has, to me, it feels like it's Key West.
A little bit.
It's, yeah, there's just charm with the houses and the condos. It's kind of a mix of the single family and condos there. The houses that are on the intercoastal, it's kind of like the little inlet, they actually have direct access to the Gulf of Mexico there. And that's where down at the tip of Sunset Beach, there is a little dog beach. Wrong mouse.
Right here. No, that's the right one.
Well, they can't
Right
see
here.
that one. They have to see this one. Yes.
So,
Yeah, there we go.
all right. Yeah. So the dog beach is right here. You have Land's End condos right here, and you have mansions by the sea right here. And there is actually a walking path or jogging path that goes all the way down, all the way around, and is able to be used by anyone down there. You also have some tennis courts and a dog beach, as Trish was talking about, right down here as well.
And on any given day, you're going to see people advertising on VRBO and Airbnb weekly rentals there.
In Sunset Beach. Yeah.
But again, it is part of the 5 changes of occupancy a year. So again, that's what I tell my clients. It's 5 changes of occupancy a year. What you do is what you do, but this is the restrictions. There is very limited public parking in Sunset Beach.
Very, very, very limited public parking. Yeah.
You have, public parking over by Caddies on the beach. You also have down here, they just redid some public parking right over here as well
that's right.
by the beach access. And then the streets, you can park on the streets, but again, the houses are so packed together. It's very dense, so it's very hard to find off-street park or on-street parking.
Definitely.
But that's the one thing that you will see is that, the prices in Sunset Beach, the land is at a premium.
Yeah.
So you'll have a little Land's End change to a 7-day minimum. Yes.
Yes, correct. Yep. I do have a client who just purchased in there, and supposedly this is just one person telling me they are not the easiest association to deal with when it comes to short-term rentals. I know somebody else who owns in there and does fairly well, but they've been there for 12 or 13 years. So they have a lot of repeat clients as well.
And now we head to St. Pete Beach. So it is the largest city and one of the highest tourist destinations of all of our barrier islands. The Gulf side of St. Pete Beach is primarily hotels and weekly rental condos. There are single family homes with some condos mixed in along the intercoastal waterway. The north end of St. Pete Beach has more condo opportunities, along with boat slips. Thank you. And then the area of when you go over the bridge at Blind Pass has direct access to the Gulf of Mexico for small crafts. And then the very south end of St. Pete Beach is Pasagril. Do you want to talk about the fingers of St. Pete Beach?
Sure. So we have a whole bunch of different neighborhoods in St. Pete Beach, and these are, for the most part, all on the water. We have Three Palms Point. Do we have a map on the next section? That's what those
No, we don't.
Kind of. Okay.
All right.
So if you're looking at a map of St. Pete Beach, the northern part next to Three Palms Point, where you also have the condo complexes, Three Palms Point or Third Palm Point, it is a separate neighborhood. Bahia Shores, Brightwater, Punta Vista, Boca Ciega Isle, which is almost like its own little island offshoot. Bella Vista, which is sort of turned into Vina Del Mar North. And Don Cesar is the middle of the sandwich in between Bella Vista and Vina Del Mar. And then Vina Del Mar is the very last neighborhood before you get to Pasagril. There's a free beach trolley for all St. Pete Beach residents, which goes all the way up and down the beaches. And convenient. You don't even need a car.
Yeah. Hey, and we just recently learned a fun fact that when St. Pete Beach, before it was St. Pete Beach, it was actually just 4 areas. It was the city of St. Petersburg, it was Don Cesar, Casa Grill, and then Bella Vista.
Yeah.
And what they did, I think it was 1957, they decided to all become one, and they were renamed the city of St. Petersburg. And then later they shortened it to St. Pete Beach, and that is how we know it now. But little fun fact.
Mhm. So new things to St. Pete Beach, and then new things. We have buoys. The current buoys is actually going to be taken over by the Toasted Monkey, which is moving in again. The new buoys is going to be across the street from its current location. And then there's a new boutique resort and restaurant called Mesh. We don't know exactly when that's going to be done. It's not going to be late 2020, that's for sure.
They missed the mark.
Yes, just maybe by a year or so.
So Kelly just asked, so St. Pete Beach is another good place for short-term condo rentals, possible Airbnb and VRBO.
Condos and condo hotels, yes. Single family, no. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah,
There
single
are
families are a 1-month minimum rental.
Yeah, definitely.
And honestly, when we when you're looking at numbers of the vacation rentals there, one thing that I find is, even though it is a very big destination, they haven't really raised their rental rates, and those short-term condo hotels, I want to say, typically only gross about 40 to 45,000. I've never seen anything spectacular coming out of St. Pete Beach.
Gotcha.
And if you have an investor, Amanda just asked, if you have an investor wanting to do short-term rentals on the beach, which beach do you prefer the most?
So that's kind of a loaded question, because I definitely recommend that they don't just look at one of the beaches. There's lots of condos and condo complexes that allow short-term rentals all the way from Clearwater Beach all the way down to St. Pete Beach. So a lot of investors say, well, I just want whatever makes the most money. But I normally find that that is not the case. They want to inject some of their personal likes, some of their personal feelings about each individual condo. So if they are, where I start is with the bigger, more successful condo hotels like Sunset Vistas,
Which is in Treasure Island.
Which is in Treasure Island.
Crystal Palm,
not
Treasure Island.
as much, but Sunset Vistas on the Gulf, which is why I really like it, and their prices are still semi-reasonable. The next one I go to, if it's in a much lower price point, is Madera Bay Resort, which is also a condo hotel. And then a lot of the complexes are really hit and miss because there's not always inventory available, especially right now.
But I think we also gear a lot of people towards Indian Rocks Beach.
Indian Rocks and Indian Shores, because there are so many, and Reddington Shores for that matter, because there are so many condos that allow short-term rentals in those areas. Yeah. So Casa Grill is kind of its own area amongst St. Pete Beach. Casa Grill calls themselves Casa Grill, not even St. Pete Beach. You don't say I live in St. Pete Beach if you live in Casa Grill.
And the Big Pink Hotel is the start of it.
It is. Yep. So the Don Cesar is the very beginning of Casa Grill. It is a mix of single family homes and condos. Marina Del Mar is kind of, sort of, maybe part of Casa Grill. I would argue that Casa Grill is just this big stretch of land right here. A lot of people who live in Vina would say that that's also Casa Grill. So
let's see, from Jennifer just asked, what about the fact that there is not a lot to do in the Reddington area for their renters?
Yeah, I mean, I would kind of argue that even Indian Shores is limiting on what you can do, because there's not, especially compared to Madeira or Clearwater Beach or Treasure Island, there's not a whole lot going on in Indian Shores other than maybe a restaurant here and there, a coffee shop here and there. I still think Indian Shores and Reddington Shores do really well on the vacation rental side, just because I've seen so many of the numbers that support that.
Well, and I think now with the trolley that goes up and down the beaches, they can just jump on the trolley and go
really
down.
helps. I think anybody
And
here
Uber.
longer than 2 or 3 days, which is kind of the very minimum, is going to have a car. So that's part of it too. A lot of people will just go to the beach for 3 straight days. So
And I think it's a little bit more quiet. Like some of the families don't want to be right in the action, but be able to get to it easily. But that's one of the things that it's a little bit more quiet in our Reddingtons or Indian Shores.
Yeah. But a lot of these complexes have long-term repeat guests, and human beings are creatures of habit. So the longer and more established some of these condo hotels or vacation rental type condos are, the more past clients you're going to have. And yeah, I agree with you, Jennifer. I think Madeira is definitely still the best value amongst the beaches, and probably not for long. Back to Paso Grill, it is a very limited parking for the beach, much like Sunset Beach. It's actually sort of similar to Sunset Beach in a way.
It is, isn't it?
There is 2 streets down in Paso Grill that are much more commercially. You have a lot going on. You have some bars and restaurants.
The Brass Monkey.
The
Hurricane.
You have some local like jewelry stores and touristy type things similar to like Corey Avenue has, northern St. Pete Beach. But Paso Grill is, if residents of Paso Grill will say, bar none, Paso Grill is the best place up and down the beaches, because it still feels like a 1950s sleepy little beach town, which is why it's so charming.
And again, much like Sunset Beach, you are paying a premium for the land there too.
Oh, absolutely. Paso Grill is bar none the most expensive place you can be up and down the beaches. So just some general fun facts, as Trish would like to say. We love throwing some fun facts in there. Navigating Gulf Boulevard. So Tom Stewart Causeway is called 150th Avenue. The streets north of Tom Stewart increase and the streets south decrease, right up until the point where you get to Indian Rocks. So when you get to Indian Rocks, you start over at First Avenue, goes all the way up to 28th Avenue.
North, yeah.
And then once you get to 28th, you start over again in Bel Air Beach, and it starts at First Avenue. It goes all the way up to, I don't even remember.
25th Street.
25th Avenue.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then they have Morgan, Howard, Belle Isle, Harrison. So hey, so then they just throw that in for us.
Yeah. But for the most part, you know, if you're looking for 19800, it is going, it's going to be on the Gulf side of the street, because it ends with a 0, which is an even number.
Yep. So all properties on the Gulf side are even numbers, and all the properties on the intercoastal side are odd numbers.
Except for 2, which are at the very end of Madera Beach. They're on the Gulf side, but they actually end with an odd number. But yeah. And
there, something that's not in the slide is, well, I guess, yeah. We did do an example that, if like it's 19417 Gulf Boulevard, Indian Shores, you know that it's located on the intercoastal side between 194th and 195th.
Right.
So I know when I learned this, I was like, my mind was blown. There are a couple of, which we didn't talk about, there's like Gulf Lane.
Right. Yeah. So there's some other street names that are on the Gulf of Mexico that are not Gulf Boulevard. So you have Gulf Lane in Madeira. You have,
which is right across from John's Pass.
Yep. You have Sunset Way.
Mm-hmm.
You have Lee Avenue,
which is in Reddington.
You have, what is the one way down in St. Pete Beach?
That's Sunset Way.
Sunset Way, okay.
And then Beach Drive. What's the one in Indian Rocks?
Indian Rocks is Beach.
Yep.
Beach Drive.
So those are the ones that are going to throw you just a little bit.
Yeah.
So when you are looking for Gulfront properties, don't just put Gulf Boulevard in your search. Make sure that you're looking for everything. And again, don't trust everything you put in they put in the MLS, because
Just because it says it has Gulf frontage or it's on the Gulf of Mexico doesn't always mean that. So make sure you're consulting with the maps on there too.
And that was one thing that Chase actually taught me, was the fact of, instead of searching just, that if you put in like intercoastal, if you have somebody that's looking for, they wanted a house on the water, and you put in the intercoastal, bay, all that good stuff, is to make sure that you take all that out and look at a map. And why is that, Chase?
So I found a property one time that I did not find in any of my searches because it had nothing listed under water frontage. It was actually on the water. It was on like 60 feet of water, and it was in Marina Del Mar. So being a nice person, I called the agent and I said, hey, just wanted to let you know this property's been for sale for 41 days and it's not listed as having any water frontage in the MLS. And the gentleman, who did not speak perfect English, informed me that, yes, I know there is no water frontage. The water is actually in the back. And it was really, really funny. And I told my whole team and we all laughed about it. And
there's no such thing as water back.
Unfortunately, there's no category for water backage in the MLS, only water frontage. That was
Oops, somebody's not on mute. Can somebody make sure that they're muted? Please and thank you. All right.
It's either just people trying to steal content or nosy.
I might have to be on here.
Yeah.
That's mine. It needs to be on the other one, on this one.
Okay.
Yeah. So while he's working on that, we're going to talk about just some fun beach facts. Is the Jolly Trolley is a Clearwater Beach trolley. It operates Clearwater Beach. And then you also have the coastal trolley that goes from Clearwater Beach all the way up to Tarpon Springs. And I think ideally they run about every 20 minutes. The Suncoast. Sorry about that, Chase. But the Suncoast Beach trolley, it's every 20 to 30 minutes. It goes from Clearwater Beach all the way down to Casa Grill. And then it's 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday. And then it goes to midnight on Fridays and Saturdays. We do have some golf cart friendly communities, St. Pete Beach, Indian Rocks, and Indian Shores. They do require that you have a Florida state license plate. You need to have brake and tail lights, parking brakes, windshields, and seat belts. Now, I know with Indian Rocks, you are not supposed to be, you can kind of jog over from like your street across to the beach. You're not supposed to drive on Gulf Boulevard, but you see it everywhere. Yes. Dog beaches. We know that if anybody is a part of any of the beach community groups, dogs on the beach are a hot topic.
Yes,
people
very
get
much so.
very passionate.
Especially on Nextdoor and on Facebook groups, but there are designated dog beaches, and they're almost all listed right here. So there's one sort of under the Bel Air Bridge. There's one on the southeast side of the Tom Stewart Causeway in Madeira, right next to the Madeira Beach Fundamental School. Fort DeSoto has designated dog beaches. Honeymoon Island has designated dog beaches. And then we brought this one up before in Sunset Beach, facing Blind Pass and down sort of in that Blind Pass area, there's a little dog beach next to Mansions by the Sea.
And I have heard up in Clearwater Beach, up in the North Beach there, you can bring your dogs there too, but it's not confirmed.
Yeah, it's much more private up there as well. A little dog beach in Pasquale too. Awesome. Good.
And I know the residents want to keep that really hush hush on the beach pages. They are hilarious. They are like, shh, that's only, the locals only know that.
I know we've talked a lot about the Clearwater Beach Sugar Sand Festival, Crab Festival up there. The Reddingtons have had the Reddington Shores Fishing Pier, which is now gone. And then there's various community events going on in all the beaches, and highly suggest that you join the individual beach pages. There's probably 3 per beach on Facebook. Nextdoor is pretty active on some of those, but
there's a lot of negativity going on in those groups too. So make
Yeah.
sure you join one that has really, really, really good admins or good site creators.
So Madeira Beach has the John's Pass Seafood Festival. They had actually rescheduled it for this weekend, and because of the rise in the COVID, they have renamed it the Arts Festival. So if you drive by, they are setting up. I want to say it starts today at 2. So I encourage you guys to go stop out and support these local vendors. As we all know, our beach communities have been hard hit, especially the little vendors, the restaurants, and all of that. But that'll be going on. There was a really cute food truck heading that way. I'm like, I want to stop and eat there just because their truck is cute. Madeira Beach is also great for movies on the beach. Typically in summer, they'll do Jaws on the beach, which is pretty creepy if you've never done it. Because you hear the Gulf of Mexico going behind you, and then you hear that doo-doot, doo-doot. But then also in Rock Park, they'll do movies in the park there. And again, they are doing that even with COVID. So it's like, keep an eye on those beach pages because they're social distancing, but they do popcorn, there's vendors. And then that's Madeira Beach is a hot spot for our fishing tournament. So the Wild West, King of the Beach, all happens there. And then Treasure Island, you have what was just last weekend was the Kite Festival.
Yep.
Standing Ovations, the
Sand sculpture competition.
that's always in November. And then you have the Treasure Island Boardwalk, which is a paved walkway that's behind the Belmar and goes about a mile.
Yep.
And then of course, St. Pete Beach, you have the Corey Avenue Sunday Market, which is pretty fabulous. And then one other thing to know, and this is a good one to know, especially if you've got boaters that are like, hey, you know, I need a place with I can dock my boat. There are 7 points of entry onto the barrier islands. So you've got the Clearwater Memorial Causeway, you've got the Bel Air Causeway, and all these are coming from our mainland. Indian Rocks Causeway, the Park Boulevard Bridge, the Tom Stewart Causeway, the Treasure Island Causeway, the Corey Avenue Causeway, and the Bayway Bridge. Fun fact about the Indian Rocks Beach Causeway is Steve-O from Jackass, actually a couple of years ago, was on a trampoline on the back of a pickup truck and decided to bounce himself off into the intercoastal waterway, which I tell you what, that thing is like 5 feet if it's a day over there. Yeah, so he wasn't hurt, but I don't recommend it, but it is kind of a fun little fact. And then here is our slide for you guys. It talks about the condos versus condo hotels.
Yep. So a regular condo, you're absolutely able to homestead it. You're able to call it your primary residence. Rental restrictions vary from condo to condo, all the way from 1 year to 1 week.
Some are even 2 years. Yeah, up in Clearwater Beach.
They're able to get conventional financing for as little as 5-10% down. If you're doing a second home with a regular condo, you're also able to do a lower down payment. However, if you tell your customers to get a limited review on your condo documents, it's going to be a much smoother process. So if they're kind of in between doing 25% down or 30% down, definitely go for 30% down because it allows you to do a limited review of the condo budget, condo docs. It's going to speed up the process, and it's also going to be a much simpler process for the lenders as well. A condo hotel is traditionally not able to be homesteaded. You're not able to call it your primary residence. In fact, you're only probably going to be allowed to stay there between 28 days and 90 days per year as the owner of the condo. Restrictions are usually 1 night to 3 nights, but some are as long as 7-day minimum rentals. You're not able to do a conventional loan. It's either going to have to be private money, cash, or an adjustable rate mortgage. And the people that you can talk to about that, Adam Ellis at Bank of Ozark is one of the best in the area. I'm sure a lot of you have already worked with him. He is one of the very few people who allows or who can finance a condo hotel on an adjustable rate mortgage. Adam's contact info, and you can reach out to us for this separately. Again, Adam Ellis at Bank of Ozark. His phone number is 727-586-8200.
418-9136. And we can even add this to the chat if that's better. And then on-site property management ranges from 35 to 40%, and sometimes even higher than that, like at Tradewinds
And the Belmar.
and Belmar.
Off-site rental management is anywhere from 15 to 25%. So definitely want to use off-site if you are able to. We really haven't found that there's a drastic difference in how much money you're able to make to cover the 17% difference that you would use for having an on-site rental management company. So that is.
I think that is it. Is there any questions that anyone has that we didn't cover?
Feel free to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Well, we'll wait around for a couple minutes if anyone has any other questions. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for joining us. And
Yes.
definitely wouldn't mind if you tuned into What's Up Beaches, Trish and I's podcast. It's available. If you check either one of our Facebook pages, we share it all the time. Otherwise, you can download it from a bunch of different places.
Spotify, iTunes.
Yep.
We're on both of those.
Yep.
And I think iHeartRadio, I think.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
So,
thank you guys so much. And if
thank
you have
you,
any
guys.
questions, feel free to reach out to either one of us. Facebook, email, cell phone number, whatever you guys want. So
Yeah.
again, thanks for joining us and have a good one, everybody.
Bye.